I've seen this. God, I have a few guys even in my group that I've seen this with, right? It's like they're attractive and they're stuck on this girl who just devalues them. And this has been studied for a long time, not in necessarily light of evolutionary psychology, but in the counseling world and trying to understand, what would be called, there's books in the 80s and 90s written on this, talking about the one up or one down syndrome, where one person has more attractiveness or sexual power, we'll say, in the relationship and then the other, and it's the one down, or the person that's on the other side of it, that gets toxic because of that. And so you guys who are high SMV, you've narrowed your choices to higher SMV women. That's a good thing, but also a bad thing. Don't get, because you still have emotions, and some of you guys will get an emotional attachment to a girl who's not at your level. And I don't just mean looks wise, although sometimes that is the case, in fact. And that's not good when that's the case. It's really bad when that's the case, actually. But it's just in terms of character and person and where you're going in life and insights and all that kind of stuff. It's like you'll go with a chick who's too far below you. That can happen. And women do that too with dudes, because they like the power, and then it ends up being a bad thing for them. Right. And guys do that. When guys do that, it's also bad. You think because you're so much higher in SMV that means like the relationship is going to work. No, maybe the casual sexual relationship, sure, but eventually, she's going to end up moving on, and you should probably move on from that too. But a lot of you guys get in a bunch of casual relationships, and then you narrow it down to somebody who's really cool. You get emotions for her, which is totally understandable, because you're a human being, she's a human being, but you haven't looked at it like mathematically, which is a testament to your character if this has happened to you, by the way, because we shouldn't look at people like math problems or like objects necessarily, even though we tend to talk about them that way on the internet. But, she's a person and she has value, and you see that value and you care about her. But the reality is her quality, or her level, so to speak, in terms of where she is in life and her attractiveness, isn't as high as yours. And it's not that she should be higher than you necessarily. In fact, you should always be a step above as the dude, or else for that polarity. But she's so far below that she's going to bring anxiety and problems to the relationship, and she's going to devalue you. A lot of times girls will, try to devalue and degrade the guy who's so much better than she is, so that they feel better about themselves, so they can be in that relationship. You see, her self-esteem is critical to the success of this relationship. If it's too low, it's a balance. If it's too low, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? If it's too low, she will bring you toxicity. Okay. Now, if it's too high, it'll be bad too, because then it's like her attractiveness for you is just not going to be there. She has to feel, that you're someone worth looking up to. She has to feel that you're a little bit better than she is in terms of, we'll say, mating value, not as a human being, not in terms of, intrinsic value as a human, but just in terms of mating value. She wants to be with a guy who's, a little bit more attractive. If she's not, of course, conditioned to try to have the power in the relationship, which is, of course, a whole nother thing, but that's what women today are conditioned to, that with the feminist values, and that sets them up for a disaster, because then they're the hotter person, and they have the power, so they don't feel the anxiety, but then they don't feel the attraction either. So when a woman settles in a marriage and divorces later, that's a lot of times what happens. But I mean, these are drives that are in play. She has a drive to sleep with the guy that has the most mating value, that isn't a danger to her, though. That's the other caveat of this. She can't perceive that guy as a threat to her reproductive success. So a lot of healthy women are very aware, well, they would never admit to, or maybe never even heard of the concept of being alpha widowed, but they're very aware of that concept, though, innately, and they don't want to end up there. And so this is why they reject higher value guys. All right. If they think that it poses a danger. If they think they could have a fling with the guy and there's no danger there, like some vacation sex, or hey, go out and fly and see a guy and have some sex with them, they don't think they're going to get like super attached and high emotion. Yeah, she might say yes to that for a short-term thing. But if that guy was like, hey, you know, I really like you. I want to keep seeing you. A lot of times they're like, oh shit. And they stop doing that because they're afraid. And then, of course, there's the using you for attention, which is what probably most of the time it is. All right. Unless, you know, it's very few, very few times that, you know, I don't say very few. I mean, it depends on the guy. Right. But a lot of times it's just using those guys for attention. She acts like she's attracted. She's 20 years old or something, 21. She's old enough to drink in the United States. Let's say she's 21. She's immature. And she's like, okay, you know, ew, or whatever, after she attracted your attention. That's like the girl who comes in looking hot with her, you know, stretch pants and goes to the grocery store and gets dolled up, you know, showing her ass everywhere in a sports bra, like, right. And some guy's like, oh, hey, you know, or looks at her and then she's like, I have a boyfriend, you know, that's the I have a boyfriend syndrome, you know, attracting a bunch of attention from men to go, oh, I have a boyfriend. Or how about these girls who post inspirational, of course, quotes with their boobs out and, you know, showing all like how hot they are and constantly updating their stories, right? And then they'll post, oh, these guys in my DMs, oh, it's such a you know what I mean? They're like, oh, they're so stressed because of all the guys in their DMs. It's like they're signaling sexual availability, and then they're mad that guys are they're not really mad though. You see, that's all a game. It's all bullshit. That's to boost their self-esteem. All right. That's what that's for.